When playing a game without a tutorial for the first time, I'll usually look up information about the game on a forum or a wiki. Sometimes, I'll watch a YouTube video before I play the game, so that I have a general understanding of how to play before I start. But what if there was another way you could learn a game while playing? What if we could learn a game by using technology, specifically an chat AI called ChatGPT? I wonder that if instead of searching a wiki or preparing with guides beforehand, we can just play through a game and ask the AI questions when we need to. To find out, I'm going to play Minecraft as if I were a completely new player. If I need to do something and how to do it isn't explicitly obvious, I'm going to ask the AI for help on what to do next. Let's see just how far we can get by relying entirely on this AI's advice. I first asked it what the basic controls were for the game. I also asked it what I should do first upon starting. It actually gave me a solid list of controls, and it told me to gather wood by punching trees, so I started out by doing that. I needed to gather resources such as wood, cobblestone and food. I was making good progress with the wood, but I didn't know how to get cobblestone. I asked it about this and it said I needed to create a pickaxe. It told me to open the crafting menu to make a crafting table so that I could craft a pickaxe. It even gave me the recipe to create a crafting table. Although it might have been a bit off the mark with the recipe. I was able to figure out what the actual recipe was though. Now it was time to create the pickaxe, but I was missing sticks. The AI said I could craft them using a 2x2 grid of wooden planks, which didn't work. It was right about needing wooden planks though, and I guessed the recipe by placing the planks in the shape of a stick. I then tried to make a wooden pickaxe using the recipe I was given earlier. It turned out this recipe was a bit off the mark as well, but I figured it meant column instead of row, and was able to make the wooden pickaxe anyway. Now that I had my pick, I needed to find somewhere to mine. Apparently, I could mine by right-clicking on some cobblestone. The AI also mentioned I could mine with a sword, but it said a pickaxe is more durable, so I decided to stick with that for now. I asked it where I could find cobblestone and it told me I could find cobblestone ore underground and cobblestone around volcanoes, which both sounded like very dangerous options. Thankfully, it also mentioned I could find cobblestone at cliffs, so I set out towards the hills I saw earlier. Upon reaching the hills, I could see stone embedded in the cliffs. I used my mining pick to obtain a good amount. Now I had 2 of the 3 things the AI had told me to obtain at the start of the game. All that was missing was food. It said that I could get food by hunting animals, and I had passed a flock of sheep earlier. As much as it pained me, I knew what needed to be done. Now that I had completed the first part of the AI's suggestions, I started on its second task, building a house to defend myself from mobs. It suggested I build it out of wood and cobblestone, so I crafted myself some wooden planks and got to work. I eventually started to run out of supplies and got back to punching trees for some more wood. I considered there's probably a better way to do this faster, so I asked the AI for some advice. Its suggestions involved cutting down bigger trees and using a chainsaw, which is an endgame item apparently. But its first suggestion using an axe seemed the most sensible. Its recipe for crafting an axe was incorrect, but it was easy enough to figure out the actual recipe since its list of required materials were correct. I used my new axe to chop trees slightly quicker. I did this for a few minutes but decided to head back to my house once I noticed the sun setting. However, that is when I spotted something concerning. A figure in the distance started pacing towards me, and I realised it was a zombie. I quickly consulted the AI about fighting monsters and it told me I could use my axe to kill it easier. I managed to dispatch of the zombie pretty easily with my axe and made it back to safety. There was one small issue though. There was a hole where the door was meant to be. The AI gave me materials and the recipe for the door, but got the recipe wrong again. It seemed to really like the letter T. The amount of wooden planks it told me was correct though, and I was able to figure out the recipe. I closed off the house and waited inside for morning, until I realised the roof was still completely open. I ventured out to get more cobblestone and finished off the roof. I sat in my house for a while to wait the night away. I had a bunch of raw meat, so I asked the AI how to cook it. It told me the correct recipe for a furnace and said that I could use wood or coal as fuel. I was able to cook up my food with these instructions and I got my health back to full. While I was waiting for the sun to rise, I realised I was sitting in the dark, so I asked the AI how to rectify that. It told me I could make torches with coal. It also very ominously said that lighting my house up would make it easier for monsters to find me, which is terrifying to say the least. Despite the concerning warning, I set out to find coal to light up my house. The AI said I could find coal underground, so I asked what the safest way to get underground was. It responded with a very specific set of instructions. First, I needed to dig a hole 3 blocks wide and 4 blocks deep for the entrance to my staircase. It then told me to build a staircase out of cobblestone or stone blocks. I didn't know how I could make stairs at the time, so I assumed it wanted me to jazz up my entrance with cobblestone. Next, I started digging downwards for my staircase. Being able to move around comfortably was apparently important, so I made sure to make the tunnel 3 blocks wide. After literally minutes of digging my staircase, I finally came across what I had been looking for: coal. I was able to use the coal to complete the AI's third suggestion of lighting up my staircase with torches. Better late than never. I was so excited about my staircase that I completely neglected to read the AI's 5th rule until now. Nothing could have prepared me for the horror I was about to read. The AI had warned me that I needed to build a ventilation shaft to have access to fresh air. I was suffocating. In a desperate panic, I pleaded with the AI to tell me how to make ladders for the ventilation shaft I needed to build. It told me to create ladders with 7 sticks. I crafted a ton of them and began my ascent. I had no idea how much time I had before I ran out of breath. There wasn't anything to indicate this in the UI. I dug upwards and upwards until finally, sunlight. I was free. The fresh air filled my lungs. I was safe, and better yet, I had coal. It was time to light up my house. I now had a fully functioning shelter with walls and lighting. I wasn't sure what to do next, so I asked the AI what to do now that I had a fully built house. It told me to decorate with furniture like tables and chairs. I asked it how to make a table, and when I saw that the recipe included 4 wooden planks on the top and bottom row, I knew this wasn't going to be one of the recipes the AI got right. Without the recipe, I had to improvise. Next, I consulted it on making a chair, and it gave me a very interesting recipe. Sadly, this didn't work, and I was forced to improvise again. I am not very creative. Another task on my list was to create a farm. The AI told me I needed to find a location that had plenty of sunlight and was near a water source. It said that the best water source for my farm would be a naturally generated one like a river or a lake. Annoyingly, there wasn't one of these anywhere near my house, so I had to set out to find one. The only issue was that it was nighttime again. I wondered if there was a way to skip to the daytime without waiting, so I asked the AI. It told me to use commands to set the time to day, but I wasn't too keen on cheating. I asked if there was a way to do this without cheating, and it simply told me to stay indoors and wait for morning. That's a shame. It sure would have been useful if there was a way to skip the night. If only there was some sort of item I could craft that would let me do this, but apparently not. I guess I could only wait and watch out the window. But then, I spotted its final comment. It said this strategy might not be ideal for players who are trying to advance quickly in the game. This was almost a taunt. Was it saying I'm a slow player? My lack of Minecraft knowledge wasn't going to stop me. I decided to head out into the night and start my search for a naturally generated water source. I wandered forward into the dead of night. It was relatively peaceful until I passed over the hill and spotted a strange party of skeletons and these long green creatures. I asked the AI what these were and it told me they were sugarcane. I decided to stay away from them regardless and continued on. After literally minutes of walking, I finally found a fresh source of water in the form of a huge river. It was a perfect place to build my farm, although it looked like someone had already beat me to it. A small village nested around the river glowed in the distance. I made my way towards it. In the village, I met some strange men who had a chest filled with treasure and food. I was itching to get my hands on it, so I asked the AI if the villagers would get mad if I took it. Apparently it would reduce my reputation with them, but they wouldn't do anything to defend it. That sounded like free loot to me, so I grabbed the treasure. I found a large house further in the village. I passed a sugarcane on the way in and took a look around. It was much better than the one I had built, so I asked the AI if it was okay to steal it for myself. Apparently it was not respectful or ethical to do this. Honestly, I was starting to feel like this AI didn't want me to have fun. What's more, this house had tables and chairs and looked way better than mine. Why didn't the AI tell me how to make them like this? I bet that wasn't even a sugarcane outside. Nope, sugarcanes don't explode. I also found I could sleep in the beds in this house, and it skipped the night. So there was a way to do this. I began to think AI wasn't quite ready to teach players how to play video games just yet. I think the AI was good at forming arguments about general concepts, but when I asked about specifics, it tended to combine its knowledge about different things in a way that usually turned out incorrect. Maybe in a few years this will be a different story.